gentlemen, my name is TotalBiscuit of the WoW podcast, Blue Please on CynicalBrit.com. This is Atramedes, the kill video and condensed guide. We have a Wipeathon 3000 presentation for this particular boss, and if you want to see some of the common pitfalls and reasons for dying, I would strongly recommend you watch that. The link to that is in an annotation at the top and also in the description below. Now, Atramedes is an interesting boss. He's very entertaining. He's got a little gimmick mechanic. You can see it right there at the bottom of the screen. It's that little circle. That is a sound bar. Not really a sound bar, per se. A sound orb. If you get too much sound, if your sound orb reaches full capacity, you are basically toast. He will find you. You see, he's blind. So he's kind of like a bat. He locates everything with sound. And all of his abilities will generate sound. Now, some of that can't be avoided, like that one right there. There's an AoE pulse that does some damage and generates a little bit of sound. However, the other stuff can be. You'll see those sonic discs flying around. They can spawn in a variety of places. Sometimes they'll spawn under him. Sometimes they'll spawn under players. You've got a few seconds to get out of them, and then they'll travel in a linear path across the room, and if you get hit by them, you get a little bit of sound. It's not too bad to clip the edge of it. You barely get any from that, but if you get hit multiple ticks of it, say if you get hit dead center, you're going to get about 3 or 4 ticks of sound, which will generate a huge amount, and that's not good. Now, what else can you do? Well, it can do this sonic breath. It's going to target someone in the raid, and it's going to very slowly rotate either one direction or the other, either left or right. If you are to the outside of this, you might end up getting hit by it. If you are closer to him, then it's going to be much easier to avoid. Now, he does something called Searing Flame, which you should have seen already. Now, what I did was I clicked on one of the gongs. Now, there's these 8 gongs around the room, and you can use that to reset everyone in the raid soundbar and stun him for a couple of seconds. The thing is, there's only 8 of them, and this fight does last a fair amount of time. When he does something called Searing Flame, you have to use that ability. You must, without question, use that ability. And if anyone in the raid's getting mega sound, like I am right now, because I'm a scrub and ended up standing in that attack that came in from the top there, then you must, and I do mean must, use a gong, because otherwise they are absolutely 110% dead. Now, in this air phase that he transitions into, he's gonna fire flame on the ground, which obviously you have to keep out of. Now, the sonic beam is the real unpleasant mechanic. He's going to target someone in the raid, he's going to aim the sonic beam at them, and it's going to gradually speed up. There are some rumors, unconfirmed I might add, bear in mind that beta is beta, and this fight is absolutely subject to change before launch, that he will target the person with the highest sound in order to hit them, and the more sound that they have, the faster that beam will move. I haven't really seen any evidence of that per se, but it is a possibility. One way or the other, I know it will speed up, so use abilities like Life Grip, yes, that's what we call it, Life Grip, Leap of Faith from the Priest, anything that gives you speed, any kind of evasion ability, bit of blink, stuff like that, and like I said, if someone has too high sound, they should shout out on vent, use your voice communication, say, use a gong, like right there. Someone had really high sound, so I used the gong, and there you go. It was fairly bad timing, honestly, because right after that, he then cast a Searing Flame, so I had to use yet another gong. We had a little bit too much raid damage there because I wasn't near the other gong. I mean, honestly, this was a fairly scrappy attempt, and it's mostly my fault, honestly. I'll happily say that. I got hit by way too many abilities here. I wasn't the only one, but still, it's not really all that acceptable. I mean, you could avoid the discs if you're near the outside fairly easily, but do watch out for that flame, as I said before, if you happen to be standing on the outside, obviously relative to where you are, depends on how fast that flame is actually going to move. If you get caught on the outer edge of the cone, then you are probably boned. Okay, air phase once again. So I'm going to try and not use the gong too much here. Bear in mind, of course, that if you do use the gong too much in Phase 2, then you can be in a lot of trouble. You can end up running out of gongs, and if you run out of gongs and there's a Searing Flame, then that's it. You're toast. It's end of story. Just got to try and use as many abilities as you can to avoid that, but like I say, it moves so incredibly fast, and we've already lost one of our guys right there. We should be okay. It's now chasing me, blinking away, using my improved blink ability to give me a little bit extra speed, which does really help, and also the Priest was able to use their Power Word Shield ability, which does give you a bit of extra speed if you're talented into it. Now, we're okay at the moment. Like I say, this is not the best attempt, honestly, but it was the kill attempt. So you do have a little bit of margin for error here, but you've really got to pull it together. You can't do too much of that. So Snuff decided to get himself back on his feet after that. No big surprise. You've just got to be careful. If you're going to do a self-res or a battle res in this fight, the worst thing that can happen is you self-res directly into something unpleasant. Speaking of unpleasant, that was fairly bad. Took a little bit of sound damage there. I was not quick enough moving out of that, but I was at least a little bit fortunate that it moved the other way. Now I'm in trouble. Bang! You saw there, absolute maximum sound level. I got caught in a disc, then got hit by the AoE after getting hit by the breath, and that's it. Absolutely, completely, and totally toasted. Thankfully, the guys are on the ball and are able to get up to another gong for the Searing Flame, doing the stun, cancelling the Searing Flame right there, and getting back on with the damage. In this particular encounter, I would say that the 25-man version is probably tougher. You get the same number of gongs, but you're going to have to deal with more abilities, and obviously since there's more crap flying around, there's a bigger possibility that someone's going to get full sound and get gibbed. So you're going to be using more gongs than you would on the 10-man mode. Of course, the flip side of that is that you can probably afford to lose one raid member in 25-man mode, whereas if you lose one in 10, things start to get a little bit hectic. There is no enrage timer, but the gongs function as a soft enrage. So if you run out of gongs and you get a Searing Flame, then that is game over for you. Using the shield right there, just using everything possible to try and stay away from that particular thing. I think I actually used Intervene there. That's one of our warriors. Charging over there with an Intervene. Very nice way of avoiding it, but it's still chasing him, using everything he possibly can to stay away from it. And if it gets too hectic, please, for the love of God, use a gong. Even if you end up losing out on a gong, it's just better than losing out on a raid member. We are down to, I believe, one gong at this point, so we're going to have to save that one for Searing Flame, and that's going to be that. As to our raid setup, we're using one tank here, we're using 3 healers, and then we are using 6 DPS on top of that. You don't need any more than one tank here, and as to whether or not you could go 7 DPS, arguably, yes, but at this gear level, I would say probably not, because the tank's going to be taking a good punishment, and there is quite a bit of raid damage going around, so I would suggest that the 3 healer approach is probably optimal here. 3 million HP and falling, ladies and gentlemen. The question is, will we pull it off? Well, thankfully, we have people that are far more competent than I. We have lost one of our healers there, as you can see on the raid frames, and I'm down as well, but most of our DPS is still alive, and our tank is holding, as well as our main healers. There's the Searing Flame right there, interrupted by the final gong, and this is where they have to go crazy on the damage, because they have nothing else. We have no gongs remaining, which means that if we have to use another one, then we are totally boned. Thankfully, this happened in the ground phase. The air phase lasts for quite a while, and technically you don't need anything in the air phase, but it's nice to have anyway. 200k, there we go, 150, 100, and down he goes.
Good job.
Oh, good job.
That fight is all about practice and all about execution. You're just going to have to learn to dodge all of those abilities, not screw it up like I did, and just watch out for your positioning. As I've said in the Wipe-a-thon, and it still holds true, your positioning really does matter. If you are too close, it's possible that you'll end up getting discs below you, maybe even multiple discs, and it'll be hard to get away from. If you're too far away, then you might get caught by the edge of that conal fire effect, and you could end up in big trouble there. Don't screw it up like me, folks. Do Atramedes properly, and thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.